watch this video. Watch it closely. All right. This is how you never need to work again. So I'm going to break it down for you. We had a great Bitcoin debate yesterday with Melissa. It was awesome. It was constructive. But some of the things that we didn't quite have a moderator, and I didn't want to be just talking over someone who invited me onto their channel. But I just want to talk about one or two of the things that maybe I think she didn't get, and I possibly didn't get the opportunity to communicate it maybe. Okay, so welcome to the channel, welcome to Crypto Dini. This is a place where we teach you how to retire early. We build retirement plans so that you can retire early. That's what I'll be doing at 9 a.m. I have a workshop full of people. I'll be on the computer, but I have a couple of minutes here before we get started. Your daily exercise today, okay? You want the guns? You hit the like button. Comment and subscribe. I can't actually see the Facebook feed. Is there anyone on? Let's have a look. Oh, there's a clatter of them on. Good morning, lads. I have it turned around backwards so you can read this, because I know normally on Facebook it's backwards. Okay? Beware of scammers in the comments, especially any new people. I never DM you. I never trade. Don't trade unless you want to stay poor or get poor or lose your money. Trading is a loser's game, okay? You're better off being an investor. An investor will get you financially free. It just won't do it overnight, all right? But trading will guarantee that you always lose your money. So never trade. If you get messages from Crypto with Dini, you think it's from me, it looks like me, it's all my pictures, it's got all my followers. Well, it's not me, unfortunately. So just block them immediately. And just be careful of that. Airdrops, send me 1 Bitcoin, I send you back 2, 3, whatever. Don't fall for that nonsense. Anyway, this is interesting. The first thing, okay, is that Bitcoin's not a currency. Bitcoin's not a currency. I can't buy a coffee with it. That means it's not worth owning. And this is where people get hung up. Bitcoin doesn't need to be a currency, okay? Bitcoin is a money. And I'm just going to break it down for you and show you all these other assets that you can't buy coffee with them. But that's not a reason not to own them, okay? So, if I have stocks, can I buy a coffee with my stocks? No. Is that a reason not to own stocks? No. Because stocks go up. Because we print money all the time. So they only go up. Regardless of whether companies are zombie companies or not. Okay, gold. Physical gold. Can I go into the coffee shop with this? Now fair enough, somewhere in Ireland, there's some mad egg probably who'll be like, yeah, I take gold. Alright? But generally, if I walk into Starbucks, I'm like, I'll have a cappuccino please, and I'll have my change in gold, they'll be like, what are you on about, Dini? Get out of here. Okay? They'll probably write Jimmy on the cup as well. Okay? Collectibles, whiskey, art, classic cars, wine, watches, whatever. You can't, they're not currency, they're money. We use them as what's called a store of value. Okay? And that's what Bitcoin is, it's a store of value. So don't get hung up on the currency thing. Property. Property is a store of value, whether it's commercial or retail. We use it as a store of value asset. Okay? We use it to protect and build wealth. Alright? So it's not a currency. I can't buy a coffee with my house. Alright? So these are all stores of value. Alright? Now the next thing is, what we're witnessing with Bitcoin, so that was it. Just don't get hung up on the reason why you cannot buy anything with your Bitcoin. Now that may come. It's not going to come with property. It's not going to come with collectibles. It's not going to come with gold. And it's not going to come with stocks. But it may come with Bitcoin. Likely in the future, you will be able to buy stuff. Every week there's new news that a new big multinational is accepting Bitcoin. Okay? So it may come. But I don't care whether it does or not, because that's not why I own Bitcoin. That's not why I save Bitcoin and dollar cost average into Bitcoin and accumulate it. I accumulate it to protect and generate wealth, okay? Just like you accumulate these things to protect and generate wealth, all right? So it's an asset. Think of it like an asset. Now, what Bitcoin is, though, it's a transformation. So these are all store of values, okay? Store of values. Now, I have currency here, and I didn't mention it as a store of value because it's not a store of value, okay? To you guys, because you're educated. But to the average person on the street, you know, they're taught to save money, put it in the bank. So they think that currency is a store of value, unfortunately for them, okay? But currency is a bad store of value, but I've included it here because it's an asset, okay? Now these are all physical stores of value, physical things, okay? They exist in the physical world. What Bitcoin is, it's a transition. This only happens once. This is the enormity of this thing, that the world isn't getting yet, and that's why the opportunity is so big. Bitcoin is the transition from a store of value asset, from a physical thing to a digital thing. Guys, remember, if you enjoyed the video, if you're learning, hit the like button. It helps more people find the channel. We need to spread this Bitcoin love to people. People need to understand this. They're getting wrecked. Inflation every month, higher, 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 higher. Not going to change. It's going to continue to destroy people's wealth. Compound interest, the 8 wonder of the world. Okay, if you can find compound interest, I read a book on it when I was 19, How to Become a Millionaire. It was just find compound interest. So simple. Okay, anyone can become a millionaire, even if you're on a minimum paid job. All right, but on the flip side, when you have negative compounding, like we have now with inflation, it destroys wealth, and it's huge wealth destruction. And my mission of Crypto with Danny, our mission, if you're part of the community, is get the message out there and teach people about the store of value and how to protect their purchasing power and how to protect their wealth, because we all have to succeed together. Okay, so what Bitcoin is, excuse me, let me have a sip of water here. Sip of water! What Bitcoin is a transition from physical stores of value, okay, physical, look, my coin, it exists in the real world, I can touch it and hold it. Okay, that's the goal. Stocks, they're actual companies in the real world, in the physical world, okay? Collectibles, they're things, they're barrels of whiskey. I have fucking barrels of whiskey there, and there's art, and you've classic cars and watches or wine or any collectible that people buy just to store their value and protect their purchasing power. But they're physical things, they exist in the real world, okay? Property, gaffs, yeah? Okay, they're physical things, they exist in the physical world, you have to paint them and maintain them and all the other stuff that goes with physical things, okay? They can get damaged, an earthquake, a flood, a fire, whatever, okay? And then you have currency. Have I got any euros there? There's a euro, it's a physical thing, look. Physical store of value, okay? This is the transition to digital stores of value, okay? Now why does that matter? Why is that ginormous? As Simon Dixon would say, he loves the word ginormous. I don't think I've ever used it before. Alright, but why is that massive? Why is that massive? It's massive because what happened to these? This was physical music. Okay? Physical music. Physical things. CDs, tapes, record players, all physical. They got dematerialized. Okay? We got a digital version of music. And it was orders of magnitude better than the physical versions. You know, you've heard me say all the reasons why. I won't bore you with it. Okay? We used to store information physically. We have filing cabinets all over the place, okay? Now we have the cloud. We have digital information, okay? And to store it. And now we have a digital store of value asset. That's orders of magnitude better than all these, because you don't have all the problems of the physical world that you get, okay? But it achieves the same thing. And not only does it achieve the store of value, it does it orders of magnitude better. The beauty is, most of the world hasn't done the work and figured this out yet. But humans only move towards technology. You don't need to learn how a fax machine works back in the day to understand it, to just end up going, oh yeah, these things are great, I'll use it. Do you get me? So it doesn't matter whether people are going to understand Bitcoin or not. Every single week, 3 million people open a Bitcoin wallet. We can see it on chain. 3 million this week, 6 million next week, 9 million the week after that. Okay, and on we go. Until the whole world just uses this thing. At the minute, we're 1% of the population. That's how early it is. And people look at the price of Bitcoin not going up and they go, oh, it's not moving. But anyone who's been in Bitcoin, you obviously haven't been here for a while. When you're in this market for a while, you'll notice it goes choppy, and then whack! Just like it did in 2020, when it went from 6 grand to 60 grand, and it done it in a matter of weeks. Okay? And all those people that were sitting there from 2018, nothing happened. 20, nothing happened. 2019, nothing happened. I'm leaving now. And then, boom, gone. Okay? So this is why this is an asset class that you shouldn't trade, and you should learn how to dollar cost average into. That's what we teach on all our stuff. Okay? Now, all of these assets, guys, I hope you're getting value from this. I know it's early in the morning, but it's not that early. It must be nearly 9, is it? What time is it? I have a workshop to do here now. 30 minutes! So I'll have to wrap this up soon. Okay? So, what we have is the transition from physical stores of value to digital stores of value. You've seen it in you've seen it in most other walks of life, other industries, other things that they've just turned into software. We're using the digital version. Remember a map? I know, what's his name? Michael Saylor always goes on about Google Maps. You know the way I used to, like when I was a kid, my dad had a big map, and we'd always be arguing, trying to find the place, driving on our holidays, and we'd be in the back, heck, and jump around crying, and dad would shut up with the map. Okay? Physical thing, you used to hold it in your hand. Such a pain in the ass. You have to look and find where you were in the country. Disaster. It's obvious now. You pick up your phone, you go, spot, I want to go there. You clip it on the dash, away you go. Okay? And that's just an example how maps went from physical to digital. Because it's better. I don't know how Google Maps works. I don't need to know. I just know. I know how fucking physical maps work and are a pain in the ass. Okay, so of course I'm going to use the digital version. It's the same here. This is the transition. Now all these assets are bleeding into Bitcoin. This is the irony. Okay? Stocks are bleeding into Bitcoin. Okay? Because a traditional stock market portfolio, okay, was 60-40. Alright, 60-40. Stocks and bonds. But now all these legendary hedge fund managers own Bitcoin. And if 60-40 equals 100%, and you squeeze in a Bitcoin element, well, it's taking from the stock portion. Maybe the stocks aren't 60. Maybe they're 55. Maybe they're only 50%. So we're seeing stocks bleed to Bitcoin because traditional portfolios are now being made up with a Bitcoin element. And the best hedge fund managers and investors in the world are telling us, by not owning Bitcoin, your portfolio is riskier than owning Bitcoin. Now that's just like telling a normal person, if you don't own Bitcoin, you're putting your family's wealth at risk. I know you think Bitcoin's risky. I know you heard that and your friend said, but this is just what Ray Dalio says, or this is what Paul Tudor Jones says, or Stan Druckenmiller, these legendary hedge fund managers. You know, they have a track record of 30 years of generating billions. They might know a thing or two. You might want to listen to them. Maybe your friend isn't as educated. Okay? Gold is bleeding into Bitcoin. 2020, we started printing money. We didn't print billions like we did in 2008 when we were all crying about it. Okay? And taxpayers got wrecked for years. No, we printed trillions. Okay? Now, in that environment, you'd expect gold to moon. I did, because I invest into all these asset classes as well. And I was surprised at how poorly gold performed. But Bitcoin performed instead. So to me, that was the market saying, nah, we don't want the old technology. We're not going to buy CDs. We're buying Spotify. Okay? So money was sucked out of gold. People that would have bought gold bought Bitcoin as a store of value. Okay? Collectibles, all these collectibles. Now, these are all physical things. Alright? And if you're into them, if you like the utility value of them, fair enough. Like, I have barrels of whiskey there as an investment, for an example. They sit in a bonded warehouse, whatever. You have to pay storage on them, you know, and they do 12% a year. That's their return, 12% a year. Now, real inflation is running at 15%, so them things are underwater. You know, they're not even beating our real inflation level, okay, with their 12% a year. Bitcoin's averaging 160% a year. I'm scratching my head going, Dini, why are you fucking investing in these physical assets? Like, what is the point? And they're not even beating inflation, okay? And most people will come to that conclusion. So I'm like, you know what? Instead of buying more whiskey, I think I'm just going to buy more Bitcoin. So we're seeing other asset classes that are inferior and not keeping up with inflation and not keeping up with Bitcoin's performance are starting to bleed into it. Now, some are only starting. It's only a trickle because most people haven't figured this out yet. That's the beauty. That's the opportunity. Property. Okay? You have an old second house there. You're getting crucified on the tax, which is only going to get worse. Dini tip. Okay? Because we have a housing crisis. We've nowhere for anyone to live. And the price of property is through the roof. And that's because people are buying up property. Okay? Open up that whiskey, Dini. I will, no bother. That is the beauty of that investment. Even if you lose money on it, you've a lifetime supply of whiskey. But property, I do a lot of consulting, and at least once a week I consult with someone who's selling a physical property to bring it into a digital asset. Okay? Because the physical property has to be painted every couple of years. They have tenants in it, fair enough, but they're getting crucified on the tax. Every year they're paying property tax on the thing, so you can't get that compounded growth. And, you know, at the end of the month, they're putting 300 quid in their pocket. And they're going like, if I took that 300 grand or feckin' $500,000 that's in that investment property and I put it into crypto and I yielded it, sure, I'd be earning way more just on the yield alone. Plus I have an asset that's going up at 160% compounded annual growth. So people are selling property to put it into digital property. And it's happening. And then we have currency. You know, a lot of people haven't got this, and that's why it's up to you guys to help me spread the message and help the people of Ireland understand this. That if you're holding money in currency in the bank, okay, it's losing its value at an astounding rate. At the levels of inflation we're at now, you lose half your value. I think it's just 6 years now. You lose half your value, half your wealth in 6 years. And you still have the money, but the purchasing power of it means you can only buy half as much stuff. That matters. You've spent your life accumulating it. Okay? So what we're seeing is a lot of people who are figuring this out are taking some of their currency, okay? Their asset is going down in value over time, and they're exchanging it for an asset that goes up in value over time. So all we have is all this money here, all these stores of value assets, and they're bleeding into the digital. And it'll happen slow at first, which is where we're at now, okay? Then it'll happen suddenly. And that's why those who are positioned, when this inevitability happens, it's like saying, Spotify, no way, I like me CDs. I love having it on the hip here and jogging around. I don't get skipped, but I don't understand that Spotify thing. I don't have the internet yet. You know, it's inevitability. You know, these things are doomed to failure, as are all these things doomed to failure to Bitcoin, because Bitcoin is just going to demonetize most of them. It's going to suck monetary energy out of it. Now, let's talk numbers just before I finish up here. Bitcoin is under 1 trillion. 1 trillion. Okay, store of value assets. How much money in the world is in assets that are meant to store value? There's 400 trillion. Okay, 400 trillion. Now remember, for Bitcoin to be 40 grand, I think if Bitcoin's around 60 grand, it's 1 trillion. Okay, this is 400. What happens if just 3% of the store of value of the CDs? What happens if just like 5% of people who use CDs decide that Spotify is probably better? I'll wait. Bitcoin's 500,000, okay? What happens if 10% of people who use filing cabinets decide, you know what, maybe the cloud is a bit better because the office is full of filing cabinets here, and this other yoke seems to be pretty good. I don't really know how to use it, but Johnny there's using it and he says it's great. I might give it a try. Okay? Alright, so I'm just 400. Let's just say half of that, because I've seen these figures. You can work it out. All you gotta do is divide 21 million into whatever trillion you want. You'll get the price of Bitcoin. Okay? Well, let's say half of that. Half of the physical. Some people are like, nah. Half the world's like, I want to keep my CD. I like my CDs. Okay? Well, that puts Bitcoin, one Bitcoin, guess. Think it in your head. Tell me if you're right or wrong. 10 million. Okay? 10 million per Bitcoin. 10, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. There you go. 10 million per Bitcoin. Alright? It doesn't have to go 10 million. It doesn't need to go 10 million. But it certainly can. Because it's the digitization of stores of value. And stores of value is a huge amount of monetary energy in the world. And to have a digital solution instead of a physical, you can see what it did in other aspects of our life. Okay? And that's why the opportunity is enormous. And for those who accumulate Bitcoin, and this isn't a sure thing, it looks highly likely in my investment thesis, not financial advice, but it looks highly likely, if this plays out, and you're smart enough to accumulate a little bit of Bitcoin, well, you'll never have to work again. And none of your lineage will ever have to work again. Because this is just like the internet. It's going to saturate the whole world. Okay? But you couldn't own part of the internet. If when the internet started, I could own 0.0000001% of the internet, I'd probably be one of the richest people in Ireland. I probably would be. You know, I'd be one of the richest people in the world, we would. We would all, okay? Anyone was able to do that. But you couldn't do that with the internet. You couldn't own part of it. Versus Bitcoin has given property rights, ownership rights in the digital world. So you can own this network, okay, by accumulating your Satoshis. My thesis is, you're foolish not to. Don't ignore it. Okay? It doesn't have to go to 10 million. If it goes to 1 million, when it goes to 1 million, I'll just say, when it goes to 1 million, it's still a better place performance on any asset you could have bought with your money. Okay? If it only goes to 100,000, when it only goes to 100,000, it's still probably a better performance than any. How long does it take your investment property, your house, to double in value? A decade? I don't think it'll take Bitcoin a decade when you understand how the scarcity is built in. This is money that's designed to go up in value. Anyway, enough waffle. I hope you got a bit of value. I hope you had a bit of crack. I'm looking forward to having a look at the comments on Facebook. Make sure you throw one in. And guys, remember, if you enjoy the videos, hit the like button, hit the share button. It helps me get the message out there. I haven't done a whole lot of videos in the last couple of weeks, but if you guys give me the love, it probably motivate me to go and smash some more videos out. Have a good Saturday. I'm teaching Bitcoin Bootcamp now. If you need help to build your retirement plan, you want me to put this together with you, that's what I'll be doing for the next half day today. We're going to be at this once the guys start, and we literally take you handheld through the journey, through the step of what to buy, where to buy, how to store, how long to keep it, when to buy, and we just put together your whole plan. So you know how much you're going to be spending, when you're going to be holding it, where you're going to be holding it. Everything is done for you, and it's simple. It's not about charting, it's not about trading, none of that. All that stuff's an absolute waste of your time. You don't need to trade this thing. Like, look at the potential it has. You just need to own it. Bin out. Boop. Are you sure you want to stop streaming? I am. So I've a Bitcoin Bootcamp to be doing.